Okay, I was wrong, and I'm perfectly okay with admitting that I was wrong. So in the past, I've made a review on futures prop firms. I think it is about time that I talk about why I don't like futures firms at all. And even though that did not change, a lot of my opinions on futures prop firms has changed. One of the things that happened is that recently, after getting into the futures scene a little bit more, I started seeing how other influencers here in this space move. And I noticed something very, very different. At least on Apex, people were never going for the 300k accounts, the 150k accounts. Like, I started seeing the live streams of Trades by Matt, and he was basically always trading 20, 50k accounts. There were a couple of other traders that are Apex traders, and what they would always do is trade 20, 50k accounts. And I was like, well, that is weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why not just go for the bigger account if you are a profitable trader? And that is where I understood that the business model with futures firms is very, very different. And that's where even a friend of mine was like, dude, I don't know why you are going for the bigger accounts. Why don't you just stick to the 50k accounts and have multiple of them? And I thought, well, because it's more money, so I can make more money when I get funded. And he was like, no, you're not understanding it. The max drawdown and the profit target is very, very different between these three types of accounts. And that is where everything started piecing together. And I was like, oh, that makes sense now. And at that point, I actually started trying out Apex and seeing if it was something that I wanted to pursue in the future. And let me tell you, it is. In the future, I will try to get funded with Apex, and I will show you right now on the website. One of the things that you can see is that, one, they're constantly running 80% discount. So if you sign up with the link, you can get the 80% discount. On the 50k account, you basically have your trailing threshold, which, don't forget, this is still like open equity trailing drawdown, which I still don't really like. But at the same time, your profit goal is $3,000, while the trailing drawdown is $2,500, which means you only need a 1.2 risk to reward if you full margin the account for you to pass. That, to me, it blew my mind. I was like, I think this is one of the easiest challenges to pass. Besides the fact that it's like trailing drawdown on open trades, which I don't like, but still, it's actually quite an easy challenge to pass. And it looks like it's $167 per month, but it's actually like $38 for a 50k account, which again, you then stack up 20 of them. Now, would I, if I'm going to go full margin on these accounts, or if I'm going to trade these accounts, am I going to buy 20 directly? No, I'm going to buy maybe 5. That's my plan at least, because then you're only really risking $150. Now, where does their money come from? Well, their money comes from then the activation fees, especially on Apex. Activation fees, because you can either do monthly or you can do lifetime. Then withdrawing the profits is also not the easiest, because again, you still have the trailing drawdown. But that's where I noticed that in all of these firms, it is like that. So the profit to drawdown ratio on my funded futures on the 50k account is 1.5. The profit to drawdown ratio on the 100k account is 2. And then on the 300k account is also 2, which means you would be much better off trading the 50k accounts. And the same thing on TopStep, 1.5 profit to drawdown ratio on the 50k accounts, and then 2 on the other 100 and 150k accounts. Now, why is it that Apex is so much cheaper than these other challenges? And the reason for that is because of the trailing drawdown that goes up with your open profit on the trades, while my funded futures and TopStep, they are end of day, which again make them more appealing. But then Apex, you can buy 20. That's really the balance that you strike with the funded futures prop firms. And that is where I understood that I had to make this video, because I was wrong. I didn't really know what I was talking about, and because of that, I have changed my mind into now, if I'm looking to get funded with futures accounts, I will be going for maybe the smaller accounts. With my funded futures, you need to check from 0 to funded series to know if I got funded with my funded futures. But this is to say that I didn't see the difference, because my eyes directly go towards the 100k accounts and 150k accounts. Now, there was another thing that I got wrong. I didn't really get wrong, but I got a change in perspective, because I started seeing, again, as we talked about, Trades by Matt. I started seeing Tanya. I think those were the main two that I started seeing. And I noticed that they didn't really have an issue with the trailing drawdown, probably because they trade futures and they're from the US, which means they can't trade CFDs. But at the same time, what I noticed is that they take a much different approach to prop firms than a CFD trader. Because talking from experience, as a CFD trader, we just want to make money and leave. Get your 80% payout, and there you go. You just made your money, you go ahead and you leave. You buy another challenge, or you stick to that challenge until you make more and more money. While here, the goal is to keep this account for as long as possible. And it was wild to see that even trades by Matt, he basically profited $120,000 from 20 50k accounts, and he does this by trading live every single day. And I'm like, holy fuck. First of all, that takes some balls, so props to you. And second of all, it showed the power of one contract multiplied by various accounts. And the other thing that I noticed is that the trailing drawdown, at least on Apex, it stops once you reach $2,500 in profit on the account. If it's not $2,500, it's something along those lines where the trailing drawdown stops going with your open trades, and it just stays there. And the same thing with all of these other accounts, where Top Step, once you make $3,000 on the 100k account, it stays always at $100,000. The same thing with my funded futures. So what you have to do is you have to think long term. And this is where the big difference between CFD firms and futures firms come into play, because in CFD firms, we never talk about compounding an account. Absolutely never. We're just like, you made money, just take it out and start over fresh, because that is how you make money with CFD firms. While with futures, they take a whole different approach where the goal is to compound the account. And if it's not to compound the account, it's to make money, then make more money on top of that. And then you always keep your account at like $5,000 profit so that you have a buffer. But if you guys know, if you've been watching the channel, I never said keep a buffer on the account. To me, it was always crazy to keep a buffer on the account. And that is where I understood that I saw these parameters, that once you make profit, it then stays at the initial balance and it doesn't continue trailing. But even though I saw that, my mind didn't process it, because my mind never has gone into the idea of keeping profits in an account. I didn't on purpose not talk about the fact that it stops trailing you. It just never processed on why that could be beneficial. Now, it's always going to be weird when you are on a 50k account and you keep $5,000 of profit in, given that you're keeping like 10% in. That is really, really wild. I know that there comes a point where you can take the whole profit out, but at the same time, it is just weird for me, because I know that Trades by Matt, I think he has like 55,000 that he always keeps in the accounts, and it's like 20 accounts, which means he keeps $100,000 sitting in the accounts. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? That's genuinely my reaction. But again, it's the difference of the game that you're playing with futures firms and CFD firms. And I think that if you are a US trader, you can't really complain. You either wait for the CFD firms to come back, which I know that some of them will, and I know that you still have some options for CFDs in the US, but if futures is the only route that you can take, then you either go for a personal account, which again, it's the same thing as opening a CFD personal account. It's still your own money and more risk than putting on a table with a prop firm, or you accept the rules. And that is the reality. That is the reality of any prop firm. You either accept the rules or you don't. If you don't accept the rules, the prop firm doesn't really care, and they're just going to keep doing business with the people that accept the rules. This is even a message to me, which is like, if you don't want to trade futures on a prop firm because, hey, the rules are too stupid, well, go ahead. Do it on a personal account. That's basically it. And I opened up a futures personal account not long ago on a 20k account. I'm 10% in profit, which means 2k. Again, I've made more money from being funded with all of these other prop firms, and I'm in 10% profit. So you need to understand the power of prop firms, and then understand the rules to decide with which prop firm you want to go. And that is basically the premise of this video. If you want to go for a prop firm, you have to understand the rules. You have to understand everything. And in futures firms, definitely understand all of the different accounts that they have, so then you understand which one is perfect for you. So I would say if you're going for Apex, probably just stick to the 50k challenges. If you're going for Top Step and my funded futures, I'm personally still sticking with the 150k accounts, just because the 50k accounts, they still have a 1.5 profit to drawdown ratio. So to me, doesn't make that big of a difference. It's just Apex that has such a big difference. With the 50k account, the profit to drawdown ratio is 1.2. So with that, that is all that I have to say. I was wrong about futures prop firms. I hope I was able to explain why, and why I do think that futures prop firms are here to stay, and that they actually have a good business model. Yeah, not to forget that they eventually actually put you on a live account, but it is what it is. Doesn't change anything for you. You're either trading live or you're not. I don't really care as long as they're paying me. But yeah, that is really it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your opinion of futures firms down in the comment section below, and I will see you next week. Peace.